Beauty and the Beast first came our way when Howard and I were both working on Little Mermaid. And it was going really well on Little Mermaid, and Disney was obviously very happy because they said, would you like to do a animated musical of Beauty and the Beast? And absolutely, yeah. Initially it was going to be a collaboration with, I think, a filmmaker who was in England, and then it sort of came in-house to Disney. And when it got going, for real, Howard and I had actually pretty much completed, we had completed the entire score of Little Mermaid. And unbeknownst to me, Howard was ill and was fighting the HIV symptoms. But he was keeping that very quiet. And we were a few songs in, and then came the Oscars for Little Mermaid. And we won that night, and it was a wonderful night. And at the governor's ball, Howard said to me, I'm so happy, but when we get back to New York, we have to have a talk. I said, what? Tell me. He said, no, not now. I'm very happy right now, but let me tell you when we get back. So I get back and I come to his house, and he tells me that basically, in those days, AIDS was a death sentence. And we finished the score with that cloud over us. And I think it infused a lot about Beauty and the Beast. When we actually sat down to write the title song, we knew that we had an assignment that we really never had before, which was we knew the song had to be not only a song within the movie, but also a single. And so with that in mind, we sat down, and it's interesting how simplicity can be sometimes the hardest thing. And it took us, about an hour and a half to really just to come to that piece of music that Howard was going to write the lyric to. And I think he had some lyric ideas as I was working on it. And a few years later, actually, I remember picking up a cassette tape. Remember cassette tapes? Mm-hmm. And I was going to use it to record something. I said, let me just listen to what's on here. And I listened, and it was that session where we moved closer and closer and closer to that piece of music and that lyric. And the story from there goes, we completed the song. People at Disney loved it. The casting of Mrs. Potts was still in process, and we did 2 demos. One was my demo, my vocal, and an arrangement that was more pop, and one was much more in the voice of Mrs. Potts. Howard sang that one, and so we sent it. Disney sent the tape to Angela Lansbury, and she said, "I don't think it's for me." And I said, wait a sec, which tape did you send? Did you send mine or Howard's vocal? And it was Howard's. It was my vocal they had sent. I said, you have to send Howard's. And then she said, I get it. And it was an amazing process. And certainly when Angela Lansbury came into the studio, it was the same day that Jerry Orbach came in to record Be Our Guest. It was just an amazing day of these, show business legends singing these songs. When Angela came in, she was actually very prepared. And she came in, and the conductor at that time was David Friedman, had run through, I guess, the chart with the orchestra, and said, Angela, why don't you just go into the booth and sing along so we can get some balances and the orchestra can get the feel of performing the song with you. And so she said, just fine. She went in and stood at the mic, and we said, okay, let's just for sound, let's get it. And David put his hands down, and the intro began, and Angela sang and went front to back, and it was just incredible. Any pressure I would have felt from, having that same assignment on Aladdin of writing the song that would be the single was incredibly overshadowed by the fact that Howard Ashman had passed away. And I was starting on a new collaboration with Tim Rice. And there had been this day, which I didn't know about, was called Black Friday. And Black Friday was the day when Jeffrey Katzenberg met with the animators and the writers, and it was a decision made that really wanted to move the story in a different direction. So some of the songs remained. Friend Like Me remained. Arabian Nights remained. Prince Ali was able to stay, but there had to be new songs, and they were going to be written with me in collaboration with Tim Rice. And actually, what I did was, I knew I was going over to London to work with Tim, and what I wanted to do was send him a track and a dummy lyric on the 3 songs. And the 3 numbers were one was going to be a marketplace number, when as Aladdin is running through the marketplace and it's, and they're saying "Stop thief," and so that became One Jump Ahead. One was a song for Jafar, which did not make it into the movie. It's called Why Me, and then there was this Magic Carpet song. I remember thinking of Tim and actually thinking of his work on Evita with Andrew Lloyd Webber, and that sort of influenced those parallel sixths. Da 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 da. Don't cry for me, Argentina. It sort of influenced in a way. Da 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 da. Just in a very subtle way, it led me into that kind of Spanish Latin place. And so I sent the 3 tracks to Tim with dummy lyric. I sent him that one with, actually, the dummy lyric I wrote was, "The world at my feet." And Tim very wisely thought maybe the word feet doesn't belong in the title of a love song.
Oh, that's a great story.
Before I write a song, I need a lot of information. I obviously want to establish what is the tone of the entire score. What is the moment we're writing for? Who sings that? What happens during this moment? What are we seeing? How are we moving story forward? So many different considerations to go through. What are people's expectations within the collaboration? What's the audience expectation going to be? You just try to answer so many questions, I do, before I allow my hands to come near the piano. And then once I've answered those questions, and I know the style, I know the tone, I know what's happening, then I leave this brain out of it, and I kind of let this brain do the thinking. You can tell people this piece of advice. It still may take a while to take it in. And that is that the most important thing you need to do is to get yourself out of the way. It's not about you. It's about the characters and the story. It's about the assignment for the song. Always be ready to throw something out. Nothing is precious except your talent. So don't ever just hang on to one song or one project and go, I've got to get that to happen. You want to have a desire to make something happen, but you always have to be ready to just move on, because your talent is what is precious. Being in love with the process is good. Being in love with your own material, not so good. Don't fall in love with your own material.